The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's a Thursday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Welcome in, everybody, as we've got the full cast of crew ready to rock here over the next 45 minutes. Patrick "No-See" Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, Chris Beamer in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Isaiah, how was your trip? Good?
Trip was good, man.
Yeah?
It was efficient. Got some work in. Now I'm back with my squad.
I thought you said the most.
Yeah.
I saw you said the most overrated or underrated team in the NFL was the Saints. I saw that.
They were. Obviously, we spoke about them last week. We felt relatively good about the Dallas Cowboys' chances going into that game, barring the fact that they can get to the quarterback, right, which did not happen. And then we also felt as if, obviously we did this time last week, literally QB vision, sat up there and talked about how simplistic their defense was. But even though it was super simplistic, Dallas didn't seemingly take advantage. No. So that goes to show you, having a game plan and executing a game plan are two different things. They weren't not a challenging team in terms of their defense, but they showed up and put out a better performance than the Cowboys, and they walked away with the W.
Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
And then punched again.
And again.
And then again. And again. And then 4 more times.
Yeah.
Before you swing back.
6 times?
Yeah. First 6 swings all landed.
In a row.
That was last week, guys. We're on to another week.
We're turning the page.
Yeah, we're turning the page to an angry team.
Yeah, with the new defensive coordinator.
Angry Birds.
The Angry Birds. Hell yeah. I like
he's
that.
So
That's
bad.
Very nice.
Maybe that's the title of the
It's
show.
nice.
Nice and early. I'll write it down now.
Let's go ahead and get the title and description ready to rock.
It's nice.
They will be.
They will be. Let's get into some news and notes. Patrick "No-See" Walker.
Cowboys better be pissed too. All right, so injury report came out yesterday. Not necessarily ideal. First, we'll lead with the fact that Mozzie Smith left practice during the open portion, which was within the first 15 minutes.
Wait, what?
He did not return.
Run that back.
Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie.
Who?
Mozzie. Yeah, Mozzie Smith.
58?
Yeah, Mozzie Smith. He left practice yesterday with a little bit of a back issue.
You just go water boy on us?
What is this?
Mozzie Smith left practice yesterday with a back issue. He did not return to practice. So that is absolutely something to watch in a situation where Jordan Phillips I broke my back. Iron Mike was at the game.
Yes, he was
on Sunday. But something to watch in and of itself, but especially when you consider that the Cowboys moved Jordan Phillips to IR. He'll miss at a minimum of 4 games. You re-sign, or I should say you poach Carlos Watkins from the Commanders, so it's the return for Carlos Watkins. Yes. But all of that is to say that there are defensive tackle issues going on right now leading into the Ravens game. So we'll see if Mozzie Smith can do any work on today being Thursday. Let's see, Brandon Cooks rest day. Trayvon Diggs, he was a headline along with C.D. Lamb. They both did not participate in practice yesterday with a foot and an ankle, respectively. Diggs with the foot, Lamb with the ankle. I asked around, and there's no concern on either one of them. So
yeah, it's nothing to get concerned about unless it's a Saturday injury.
Right. Treat it like a veteran rest day, but per NFL rules, if it is injury related and even the slightest instance, you have to list it as such. But I'm told there's no concern there, so everybody step away from the panic button when it comes to that. And while you're stepping away from the panic button, step toward the green light, because Jake Ferguson returned to practice yesterday. Abso-freaking-lutely. So, albeit in a limited capacity, he is back at practice. Did some team drills on yesterday. His needle is pointing in the right direction as far as Sunday against the Ravens. Let's see, Malik Hooker, shoulder limited. Rest day. And Marshawn Nealon, he was full, so that calf issue is not bothering him at all. And those are the big things. And John Stevens Jr. also returned to practice. So he has a chance of making his NFL debut. So not only could you likely be getting Jake Ferguson back, but you might be getting the debut of John Stevens. So you might be getting some real tight end depth going into this game. So, yeah, but just to reiterate, Mozzie Smith, keep an eye on that. Trayvon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb, no concern.
Likely for the tight end room. I like it.
Just like the Ravens.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did. I didn't like what you did there, but I see what you did.
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah.
It was pretty likely.
If you like it,
It's
I like
likely.
The so
gonna roll
you
with
said no concern for CD. That was the first name that popped up for me when it says
Absolutely.
DNP, and it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What's going on? Even Zach Martin was out there, and he was listed as a limited, right?
He was limited, but he was an
like the
NIR,
DNP
which is non-injury related for those that are asking. So it was a rest day for him no matter what. But again, per NFL rules, if it's anything wrong with the player physically, you have to list it. So they put knee, but he's fine.
I feel like technically Kyle Yeoman should be on the injury report today for sleep.
Sleep
deprivation.
Yeah, I can
deprivation.
take that. Yeah, I would love that injury designation, but that's part of it.
REM deprivation.
Yeah.
He can't hit his REM cycle to save his life. But no, we spoke with CeeDee Lamb in the locker room. REM. REM, not REM. REM. We spoke with CeeDee Lamb in the locker room, and he was the usual CeeDee Lamb. Right, he's focused, and there's no indication whatsoever that CeeDee Lamb or even Trayvon Diggs are concerned about taking the field for the full slate of work on Sunday. So
that was the scariest part by far. And looking up and down the injury report on the opposite side of things, it was very similar for the Ravens. I mean, you have Kyle Hamilton was a DNP. You had Kyle Van Noy.
Yep.
I mean, there's a couple of guys, that are significant contributors to the Ravens on both sides of the ball that did not practice.
Absolutely. We got 6 DNPs for the Ravens. We got MAL. I'm not going to butcher his name. Okay. Their guard. We got Jalen Amar Davis. He did not practice. Cornerback. Kyle Hamilton, safety. So you got 2 in the secondary that did not practice. One was a personal issue. Amar Davis was a personal issue, but Kyle Hamilton is dealing with a back issue. Okay, so there's that. You got Adisa Isaac dealing with a hamstring, but he was full. Ronnie Stanley, tackle, obviously, ankle, did not participate. So a little bit of a protection issue there. But to be frank with you, speaking subjectively, didn't Fuega have a back issue? And
Fuaga,
and it didn't matter whatsoever. So
It doesn't matter.
So we'll see. Although it did matter in Cleveland, so who knows, man? Week 3. Kyle Van Noy, he did not practice with an eye and a groin injury, which is a odd combination. Eye and groin. Yeah, that's rough, man. Dealing with a groin issue and you get poked in the eye.
Yeah, no.
Captain Nathaniel.
Yeah, that's
Give him a quick one of these.
So
and then Nate Wiggins, cornerback,
new swim
he's
move.
dealing with a neck and he's in concussion protocols.
there you go. So there's the injury report between the two teams, and hopefully the Cowboys get both Zach Martin fully healthy and ready to go back on the field Sunday. And then, of course, you've got Jake Ferguson and John Stevens as your tight end room continues to show a little bit extra depth.
I saw somebody on Twitter reply to my injury report drop yesterday and said they'd be completely fine with Zach Martin just being pulled out.
He's regressed
Who?
since.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Zach
know.
Are
Martin.
we talking about the
I saw
same
the-
Zach
Yeah,
Martin?
we're talking
I saw
about
the same
Zach
tweet. They
Martin.
were like, he's regressed since 2022.
I'd be fine if you benched Zach Martin. No,
And honestly,
you would not be.
if you want to say he has regressed since 2022, that's fair.
true. But he is still
His 80% of 2022 is still 30% better than anybody else.
Still an all-pro.
Yeah,
At 80%
let's not
Zach
get
Martin
it
is
twisted.
still a Hall of
crazy.
Famer.
And if you watch the film, there are times where he gets beat. It's plain and simple. But he used to be impenetrable. He used to be Thanos. The second time we've made a Thanos reference in the last 2 days. But he used to be that guy where
full
you
glove on?
could not full glove, all those Infinity Stones, all of them. And that was what he used to be. He's not that anymore. It's part of it. But
he's still got like three Infinity Stones.
Yeah, he's got like 3 of the 5.
He got reality, time, and soul.
Yeah. Time's starting to float away from him a little bit.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Still got soul.
He's still got the vision.
I love TJ Bass, by the way. I thought
too.
he's about as good of a backup guard as you're going to get from an undrafted free agent, from a guy like that who isn't going to be expected to do anything until maybe even his second contract. Hopefully, knock on wood, his second contract. Maybe at that point he moves into the starting role and he's good to go. I feel very confident with TJ Bass. That doesn't mean I don't want Zach Martin in full.
You want Zach Martin in.
Yeah. Let's talk about the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, though. We talked about Mozzie Smith a little bit there. All of a sudden, the defensive tackle room is looking mighty, mighty thin. They go out and they get Carlos Watkins. They sign him yesterday. That was right after we got off the air, and that news came down. Jordan Phillips to IR. Watkins poached off of the practice squad, as Patrick, you alluded to a moment ago. He's kind of a tweener. He's not a true 1-tech, 3-tech. He's more of a in-between a 3 and a 5.
Yep.
He's a guy who can play the edge. A lot of Washington used him that way. Atlanta used him that way. Even Dallas in the second year that he was with the Cowboys did. And just seeing him out on the practice field yesterday, he looks slim for a defensive tackle. If Mozzie Smith is out for a significant portion of time, and we do not have news right now on Mozzie Smith, hopefully when we talk to Coach here in about an hour, we'll know a little bit more. But if Mozzie Smith's out for a significant amount of time, is this defensive tackle room all of a sudden priority numero uno or panic button time in that room?
I don't want to be disrespectful.
But you do want to be honest.
I mean, you can't
I'm
say
always
it with
honest.
You gotta be honest,
I'm
yeah.
always honest. I have to save it with your chest for tomorrow, and actually have a surprise for you guys tomorrow.
That's scary. Is it Kool-Aid?
From the from the depth perspective, yes, it is almost time to sound the alarm. From the effectiveness side of that room, I think I've pulled the cover off, and my hand is hovering, because what I saw on film last week from that unit was underwhelming. It's probably the most respected term.
That's pleasant.
Yeah, it's probably underwhelming. I'm not ready to, again, my hand's not on the button, but it's hovering. And it wasn't what you saw against Cleveland, but you have to take Cleveland almost with a grain of salt. I was excited. They're impactful. We had a lot of pressures, but then you have to think about the fact that you're playing against backup tackles. So that's something to take into consideration. I'm not taking away all the value, but I have to take away some of the value because that's not their dudes, right? They're not their main guys. So then you look at a unit that has their dudes, and all of a sudden you're stalemated. And not only are you stalemated, but you're working backwards. The defensive line was getting moved backwards. There was times where you could pause the film and D linemen were 8 yards back.
Yep.
There was times where you could pause the film and D linemen were getting thrown physically on the ground, thrown on the ground. Like, I'm talking Jazzy Jeff. If you were to take Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Jazzy Jeff midair getting tossed out by Uncle Phil, literally getting thrown on the ground. There was times where linebackers were turned the opposite direction and eyes are to the sideline looking at I don't even know who. So it was disheartening last week to see the ineffectiveness of this defensive line. So in terms of depth, if Mozzie's not there, yeah, it's a depth play. But no disrespect to Mozzie, I haven't seen him show up in a major way yet.
And you're not wrong in that assessment.
No disrespect to Jordan Phillips.
It's a small sample size, to be fair.
It's a small sample size. Okay, so let's go to the veterans. Lynn Villa-Joseph, my old teammate, he did not show up last week. Jordan Phillips, all those guys looked like they were sea-walking laterally.
Yeah, they got pushed.
They were getting pushed.
They got blown up.
And I think if they watched the film, they would say the same thing. I have no problem. Everything I say on here, I will say it directly to their face because it's what I see on film.
Yeah.
There's times where you should never see a D lineman's feet crossing over and look like they were doing karaoke's. And as a interior defensive lineman, your feet can never be in a situation where you're now doing karaoke's, because another 300-pound man, and most of the time as an interior defensive lineman, there's going to be 600 pounds on you versus just the 300 pounds, because they're usually combo blocks and deuce blocks. So they're working together, half a man, each guy working to push you over. And if you're going sideways, they're throwing you across and they're working up to now Maris Leofau. And you know what I'm saying? And it's just unrealistic to ask now we're doing featuring linebackers to be able to take on that assignment.
What do you attribute that to? Is it a lack of effort? Is it a lack of execution? I mean, a little bit of everything, probably.
It's not effort. These guys are trying, and that's why I'll never attack a man's.
It's not effort. It's execution.
It's execution, and
is that an execution that lacks because of the understanding or a lack thereof of the scheme?
For me, it was gap discipline. There was times where you watch this defensive line versus the Saints offensive line, and literally, right? if you imagine that you're lined up on the center, okay, and you're playing the ones, right? So you're half a man, say to the right, to the right of the offensive of center, and all of a sudden you're half a body across, right? You have the advantage, and they were still getting reached by that center. Reach, when I say reach, for those that don't understand, if the center is going to your right and you're already half a man to the right, you have the head start. There's no way that the center should be able to now out leverage you to that same side and wall you off. That happened over and over and over again. And you can go back, and everybody who's listening has the ability to go on Next Gen and watch it, or
YouTube,
have the ability to go on NFL Pro. If y'all have an NFL Plus account, you have the ability to watch film. If y'all didn't know that, so go watch the film, and you can literally pause it. And there's times where the D line has now shifted over 6 yards in one direction or another. And you could literally just draw a line and say, I have now put this entire defense in a box, right? And now I'm expecting my safety to come downhill and make the play. But guess what? Last week, they were out leveraged there too, because there was receivers that were coming in cracking on the safeties.
And now you're relying on Trayvon Diggs to make the tackle.
Come on now.
You're running directly at him.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You can't, this is not a dance. This is not Dance with the Stars where you can go sideways. This particular defense that Coach Zimmer has installed, you have to have D linemen that either go vertical and go north from their direction, and they push the guys back across the line of scrimmage, or you hold the fort and you don't get moved at all. And that's why we spend so much time talking about the interior defensive linemen on this particular show, because that is literally the assignment. You either move them backwards, demand, there's really 3 facets, move them backwards, demand a double team, or don't go anywhere at all. And as we talk about the Baltimore Ravens, it's a great comparison, because that's what their guys do.
Oh yeah. It is. It's frustrating when you see guys moving backwards and you see this lack of gap discipline, but it's all got to be rooted from somewhere. And that's where I have the biggest question mark. Is it a lack of understanding with the scheme? I agree with you guys. I don't think it's effort. These guys are all playing and they know what it takes to be in the NFL. They're not just out there like collecting paychecks. Like, that's not how this works. Either that or it's the not for long league and you're not going to get another opportunity and you'll get blacklisted right before you even know it. So I don't think it is an effort or a lack thereof from these guys. But there's something leading to that inefficiency in gap discipline. There's something leading to the getting pushed back 5-10 yards downfield. And it might just be as simple as a lack of talent. And it might be. It may be a lack of talent in that room, unfortunately, and that's kind of what you're having to deal with.
And do you think that's because of the priority at defensive tackle or just defensive line in general, where it's like you've drafted really good guys there, obviously. You have Micah, you have DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously guys that you've drafted. Osa Odigizua you drafted. But do you think that outside of the draft, they've made a concerted effort to sign talented players at that position? Has it been a priority in free agency? Obviously, it's up to question, right?
Prior to the Mike Zimmer era starting effective this year, it's not been a priority.
No.
So the answer is no.
Except for drafting guys high. I mean, they drafted Tristan Hill in 2019, second round.
Acquiring from outside of the building.
Got it.
So as far as free agency acquisitions, no, it has not been a top priority. Much similar to how they treated the safety position pre-Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Right. As far as like they draft, and you can get serviceable guys like a Jeff Heath or Kevon Frazier. But as far as getting high caliber guys like a Malik Hooker, that was Dan Quinn. Right. That's how that worked. And that's why, and you can, there's rightful reasons to criticize Dan Quinn, but we're not getting into all that. But speaking positionally, whereas Dan Quinn helped you realize the value of the safety position. Hopefully, Zimmer is starting to turn that page for them at the defensive tackle position. Now, could they have approached it sooner in free agency? Absolutely, they could have. But you have seen that they've tried.
They've tried. Obviously, you address it with early round picks that haven't necessarily worked out. Like we talked about Tristan Hill, you talk about Mizey Smith. So far,
right. There's been a valiant effort there, and I think
they drafted Neville Gallimore was a 3rd round pick. Chauncey Golston was a 3rd round pick who they moved inside. I mean, Osa Odigizua was a 3rd round pick from the same draft of Chauncey Golston.
And don't get me wrong, Osa's a dude. Osa is a dude.
Absolutely,
but he's a dog, man. I love him, and chances are I can get into that.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, they won't have the bag. They won't have the bag to retain him next year. They will not have the bag to retain him next year. So y'all, and you give him his flowers while he's here. Osa's a dog, but Osa is, even though he will still be and has been successful in this scheme and through the first 2 games. Last week, not so much. Week 1, yes. He's not built for this scheme, if that makes sense, right? That doesn't mean that he can't have success in this scheme, but he doesn't fit.
He's at a disadvantage.
Yes, this scheme is not his thing. Now he can still do the job. He can still make it happen, but he's not gonna be a highlighted guy in this particular scheme because you're asking him to
Hold
be
the fort.
Yeah, just to hold the fort, and that's not his thing.
He's trying to get around guys.
Osa is a tweener.
Yeah.
He's a tweener. He's a DN/D tackle. He's freaking built like a Decepticon, and he's quick.
He's an interior passer.
Yeah, he's smart and he's fast and he's a hard
Yeah.
worker. I mean, he's a really good player. But this scheme again is built for the big fellas that don't move. I'm thinking about the old school. Since we're talking about Baltimore, let's go back to old school Baltimore defensive lines. Who'd you have in there? You had Sam Adams, right? You had Tony Siragusa.
Goose.
You had all the big fellas that, listen, I'm not asking this dude to run 5 yards anywhere.
Yeah.
But what I am asking you to do is take up both of these fellas in the middle for me so that the fellas behind you can eat.
Yeah.
That's what this defense is built on. And you don't have those big fellas in the middle. Now, since Zimmer's touchdown, what has he done? He said, okay, let me watch this Mozzie Smith guy. Okay, he's not ready yet. He's not big enough. Let's just call it what it is. Mozzie's not big enough for this scheme. That's no slight on him. We're waiting for him to come around as a player, as a professional. But while he's coming around and trying to figure himself out in this league, he's not big enough in this scheme.
Right.
Facts. Okay? Has nothing to do with his strength. When I was playing tight end at the end of my career, I was, what's your name? Why not just freaking blank out on my dude? Mercedes Lewis used to get so frustrated with him. He was like, Zaya, man, you're strong as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the strongest dude in the way. Remove these cats. I'm like, I'm 240. These guys are 330. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter at a certain point. It doesn't matter what your effort is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have the size. So Mozzie's at a disadvantage, but Zimmer said, okay, I need some big fellas in there. So who's out there? Okay, let me pull out, hey, scouting department, we'll
pull out the Albert Huggins of the world.
Who can we get, right? Albert last year.
Filter by
Huggins,
weight.
Right? Yeah, filter by weight. Exactly right. So he went out there and he's trying to address it, but you're getting, I don't want to say scraps because that sounds disrespectful to the guys that have been acquired, but you're not getting the first batch.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you're getting Linville Josephs, you're getting the Jordan Phillips, you're getting these guys that are at the house chilling, waiting for their opportunity and waiting for their proper fit. And those guys have now come in the building and they're trying to get their feet underneath them. Let's just call it what it is.
To me, it harkens back to whenever we signed Don Terry Poe. It kind of feels like
yes.
that.
That's the way it's been that way for the last 3 years now.
Yep.
Last 3 years, I think maybe even 4 years. They've gone back and they've tried to grab a D lineman, interior D lineman,
Hankins,
every year,
twice.
every year, right? They grab a D lineman.
Hankins was quality. Hankins was good.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got the bag elsewhere.
Yeah.
He
The
turned
same
into
bag.
working out.
Because it was the same offer.
But he wanted
just
to go
chose
with-
to go with 8 and dirty.
He wanted the
Hankins,
lineman.
Poe, who tore his quad?
Gerald McCoy.
McCoy.
Gerald McCoy. I mean, it's been this way for the last 4 years where it's like, okay, at that particular position group, we're going to grab who's remaining.
Yeah.
And you're hoping that they
hope
come
it
and be
works out.
Last year it worked out, right?
Yeah, with Hankins.
But you had to trade for him.
Yeah.
Right, you had to trade exactly. That's why I put it out there. You had to trade for Hankins, and it's one of those two things.
They traded for Jordan Phillips.
Right,
Yeah.
but
It hasn't worked out.
and because it doesn't always.
Yeah.
And to Isaiah's
the effort
point,
is there.
Yeah, the effort is there,
Yes.
but they're kind of snake bitten at that position.
That's
for
kind of
whatever
my
reason.
thought, too.
They're kind of snake bit.
They've done the work. They've added these guys that we just talked about, Gallimore and Golston and Digizua, Mozzie, Tristan Hill. They've invested time,
the hit
effort,
rate
picks.
is low.
They have not hit.
Yeah, the hit rate
at
is
all.
low.
It's like playing a slot machine.
Yeah,
The
you hit
two
on
guys,
Osa, but then
the two guys that you've hit on are Osa and Jonathan Hankins
Facts.
over the last 7 years. And if that's the case,
We're talking
if you're-
interior D line.
If you're hit
interior
batting
D line.
interior defensive line, if you're hitting 2 of 11 or 12 or 13
you're
or
snake
14 in that category, I mean, you're not going to get a second contract in the MLB with the Atlanta Braves, right, Pat?
not
Like
at
you're
all.
not doing anything
Not at all. As a
in
matter of
terms
fact,
of
you're hitting waivers.
exactly. You're getting DFA'd at that
You
point.
go
So
to the Marlins with that nonsense.
or the Phillies.
yeah,
Gross.
please.
But that's my point, is they haven't had the hit rate at defensive tackle. You can't say that about any other position. They've hit at defensive end. They've hit at linebackers. They've hit at corner. Corners are hitting like 750. Yeah.
Their evaluation on corners is insane. And something has to give, right? And it has been the defensive tackle position, interior defensive line since, right?
I think it's frustrating for Cowboys fans to look at it and say, why can't any of these guys work? And by any of these guys, I mean, they need that big guy on the inside, and they don't have it.
The frustration that you guys are exuding is the same frustration that front office is having. It's not like these guys are. Yeah, it's not like they're not trying.
It's not for lack of trying.
They just hasn't hit.
It's got to be, to Isaiah's point, it's got to be infuriating to know that you are excelling at scouting this position and that position and this position and this position, but this position right here,
which is a really important
this right
one.
here. This is depth. Like this cannot, you can't figure this one out. So you just know that Will McClay is just upstairs, just pulling his hair out. Like, what is it about this position? So yeah, they're as frustrated as we are. But I would also say that that kind of goes back to being players early in free agency. You don't have to be players at every position because you don't need to play at every position in the first couple of waves in free agency. But if for whatever reason you can't resolve this one position, I'm talking about defensive tackle, with drafting, then that needs to be the position that you change philosophy on and attack it in free agency with a whale in free agency. And just be willing to accept that you're struggling here and kind of turn the pride down a little bit and say, okay, let's attack it this way. Yeah. Right? So that's where I feel like the effort could be improved. They're frustrated. They are trying. We're seeing them trying. But because you're so snake-bitten at defensive tackle, with the current process, change the process.
No, I like it. Isaiah brought up a little bit ago the Baltimore Ravens and the tradition that they have on defense. Is that tradition still there with the new defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, coming to town? We'll talk about his impact and we'll give you a little QB vision, scouting the Baltimore Ravens defense and their matchup with the Cowboys offense when we come back right after this with more Talkin' Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. And inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. This segment is
cheeky.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Wait, that's the old read. This is the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, trusted since 1877. Get your Quaker Oats with your pretty sick Quaker code.
Sick.
To the left of Isaiah Stanback. That direction.
Oats from the internet, guys.
Oats from the internet.
Sick.
We are in the future. We live in the future. I love it. All right. Isaiah Stanback, you took a couple days off.
I did.
Went on a nice little trip out west. It was a soul-searching journey just to be able to watch and scout tape of this Ravens defense. Tell me how they're a little bit different with a little bit of...
Wide 80. Wide 80.
It's time for QB Vision with Isaiah Stanback.
Well, everybody, welcome back to Talkin Cowboys. Here we go.
That sounded like me.
This defense, big game, man. Big freaking game.
Absolutely.
I'm frustrated because last week we laid out, right, through all the film study we do and all the research that we do on this end. Obviously, we can't go out and play the game. But what we faced last week was relatively simplistic, right? I told you guys there were some little bit of curveballs they threw in here and there, but you can see them. Right? You can see the curveballs, and this offense just did not take advantage of it. Right? And there's not going to be too often that you face defenses that are relatively simplistic, right? This defense, even more so than last week, is a lineup. Let's get after it head to head, old school. I'm not scheming you up. I'm just more physical than you type of defense. These guys, you're talking about the new defensive coordinator and Zach Orr. He's getting his feet wet per se. He's not trying to out scheme you. He wants his guys to be fully confident in what what they're doing, and he is fully confident that his guys are better than your guys. And when you face an opponent like that, they're not going to do a whole lot of scheming. They're not going to do a lot of trickery. These guys are lining up and hitting you in the mouth. And from the perspective of the Baltimore Ravens, this is not the Baltimore Ravens defense that we've all come to know and love. From the perspective of the packages that they run and the schemes and all the craziness that they do with blitzing all over the place, this is not that defense. This defense is, hey, guess what? We have 350 pounders on a defensive line. Literal 350 pounders. Next to him, we're going to put another 340 pounder. Those two guys are going to demand two guys. Demand. Because one guy against him, you're going to get pushed backwards. That's literally what they do defensively. Okay, they got Travis Jones and they got Michael Pierce. Those two big fellas right there, they're literal gargantuans on a defensive line, right? Like the guys that you send to the buffet and you say, eat up, and come over here, put your hand in the ground, and put your hand on each shoulder of these guys and just hold the fort. The reason why I want you guys to hold the fort is because we got some dogs behind you in Roquan Smith.
Yep.
Absolutely.
A literal dog.
So
I wasn't going to go there, but you did.
He's a dude. Yeah, represent your squad.
Go Dogs.
But
not this weekend.
I was hesitant to say this, but I'm going to say it. The way in which Mike Zimmer would like his defense to line up in the front seven and play, that's how Baltimore plays. Like it is a cut and paste.
Even here in 2024, because I think there's been some criticism so far.
In 2024, the way he wants them to play.
Okay.
Well, they're allowing the lowest yards per rush in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Lowest in the league.
Yep. And you know why?
50 yards.
Because it's hard to move 350 pounds in two spots on the defensive front. And then you stand up a Kyle Vanoy on the outside who's going to be running around like a madman, right? Obviously, whether he got the growing in the eye, we'll see what happens there. But these guys are big on the interior defensive line, so it's very difficult to get a running game established, okay? At the second level, these guys are physical. They're freaking physical, second and third level. They want to run and hit.
So just kind of a side note here. That's a byproduct of their new defensive coordinator. It's a tradition that Baltimore's had for a long time.
Correct.
But Zach Orr, I've actually know him pretty well. He was back at North Texas. He played at North Texas. He was a Mean Green linebacker, best in program history, in my opinion, outside of Mean Joe Green. So he was legitimate. Went to the Ravens. He had that physicality and that in his blood initially. Went to the Ravens. That's all he did was special teams and linebacker play and ran sideline to sideline. He got on the coaching staff in 2017. Special teams, linebackers, elevated a coaching analyst, then an inside linebackers. He is the physicality that is portrayed on the field with some of these guys.
And that's exactly what you see. So in terms of the front seven, these guys are lined up. 4 down guys. You might see 3 down linemen with a stand-up defensive end. Usually Kyle Vanoy is the guy who's a stand-up end. Yep. He's number 53. But the interior guys...
He can still bring it, too. He had 9 sacks last year.
He could bring it. So that's what the front seven looks like. Big, physical, not doing a bunch of moving around. We're coming downhill, right? Our guys are more manly than your guys. I dare you to try to come head up with us.
Which is it's kind of funny, though, because the Cowboys are going up against a UGA linebacker that's just an absolute animal, coordinated by Mean Green.
Darn right.
Yeah.
North Texas is the boss, baby. That's what I heard.
Now, to that point, and to Josh's point as well, this is a Ravens defense that they're old school. They want to stop the run, and they can stop the run, and they have been stopping the run, and they will continue to stop the run.
Especially against a team that has done what?
Struggled in running the ball. Right? So they're averaging less than 50 yards allowed per game on the ground.
It's crazy.
That is insanity. Yeah. It won't continue, but because inevitably
that's
somebody
in 2 losses too.
But that's still right. But they're getting it done.
Yeah.
But here's where you attack them. Okay. The Cowboys passing attack. This is the game to get going. This is the game to get going. So while they are first in the league in rushing yards allowed, only 49.5, just under 50, or they are 32nd, last in the league in passing yards per game allowed with just under 260. They're not great on third down, a little less than 40%. They're ranked 20th in the league. And in red zone, 50%. So 50% of the time when you get in the red zone, you can score against this team. And what have the Cowboys been struggling in through the first 2 games? Offensively, red zone percentage, right? So this isn't necessarily the game where you have to try to establish the run.
No, I'm going to say it right now.
They're going to give you the pass. Take the pass.
I'm going to say it, abandon the run.
Yeah.
Take the pass. I'm giving you right now.
Wait. You never want to abandon the run.
This is a...
Against this team?
I know I missed the offense for the Baltimore this week. I know we did that yesterday.
Who let Kellen Moore into your life?
Baltimore's going to run the ball 40 times. Baltimore's going to run the ball 40 times. I'm going to tell y'all that right now. Okay, 40 attempts. Lamar Jackson, you'd be lucky to see him put the ball in the air. Okay, so they're going to run the ball between him and Derrick Henry.
Oh, we have the plan for Lamar.
Yeah.
Check out yesterday's episode.
Check out yesterday.
We solved it.
But to your point, how do you now beat them? Okay, I'm not saying that you can't beat them on the ground in the run game, but I'm saying it's not likely. It's not likely.
Also, why try?
Yeah, exactly.
The soft spot is right there.
If I'm fighting Mike Tyson, I'm running around for 6 rounds, and then I'll fight him.
Then you'll fight him.
I'm gonna tire him out first. Okay, so that's the same approach you have to take here. But to your point, you can beat these guys in a pass game, and their pass defense is probably the most basic that I've seen because they're so confident in what they do front seven wise. They are running cover 2, they're running cover 3. And that's about it. Like, literally, that's about it.
Nice.
When they get in man-to-man, they get torched. And they sprinkle it in there just to say that they're sprinkling it in there. But every single time they go man-to-man, they get beat. One-on-one, none of their guys are good enough to cover man-to-man.
To me, that says big opportunity for Brandon Cooks.
Absolutely.
To get on it. You know what I mean? To build some confidence and finally get on that second receiver.
Yes. To your point,
Bill, right?
I think Brandon Cooks has a chance, but because of these guys want to run a too high show, okay. And for a team, understand this: if you want to stop the run, do you go single high or 2 safeties?
Tell me.
You normally go single high because you roll that extra safety in the box, right? You want 8 guys in the box. These guys run a too high shell all game, and they're the best in the league at stopping the run.
Yeah, they're comfortable at doing so.
So they're fully confident in stopping the run with their front 7. So that means that they have an extra safety over the top so that they can try to keep all passes where? In front of them, right? So they run a lot of cover 2, and the way in which you beat cover 2 is by getting to that second level. If you can get behind the linebackers, which means that you're now 12 to 14 yards down the field, now you can torch them because now those over routes that you like to see CeeDee Lamb running all the time, those are going to be open if you have the time to throw them. All those underneath little stick routes and out routes and little option routes by the tight ends. Having Jake Ferguson back is huge because if you guys have any questions, go back and look at what Brock Bowers did last week for the Las Vegas Raiders. This dude had 9 catches, 98 yards, I think it was. No touchdowns, but he balled out against those guys as well. Why? Because they tried to stay too high shell and they tried to man him up underneath with a linebacker. And they don't have the personnel coverage-wise to take that assignment on head-to-head. So you have gaps in the cover 2. You have gaps in the cover 3. If they go man-to-man, it's Tostitos Plaza all day long, okay? They are unable to do that. Now, are they competitive on the back end? Absolutely. They're going to be in the play. They're going to be there.
Kyle Hamilton's one of the best safeties in football.
Absolutely. Now, he will hit your chest cavity out. It's outside of your body.
Yep.
Right? All these guys, their whole defense is physical.
You would go concave against this dude.
Absolutely. Freaking A.
I like
so
it.
It's concerning to me, Dallas's history against physical teams. That is a concern of mine. However, I am relatively confident in Dallas's ability to protect up front versus a team that doesn't possess a lot of pass rushers per se. These guys are more just
big boy.
Yeah,
just
big
the brick
boys.
wall.
We're gonna push you from the inside, and then if you sit back in the pocket too long, eventually we're gonna get you on
there.
the. Yeah, we'll get there
Eventually.
When they do blitz, it's usually one linebacker. They're bringing one guy. They're not gonna expose themselves to being susceptible to a big play because they decided to blitz. So
But is our quarterback good against the blitz?
he's amazing against the blitz.
Against pressure?
Quiet.
But
You
it's
see how I
pressure,
did
but it's
that?
not pressure, right? So if they're bringing 4 linemen up front and they're bringing 1 additional linebacker, you have 5 offensive linemen. It's not really pressure, right?
Right.
As long as everybody does their assignment.
Right.
The
Still
problem is it's hard to single up, and this is where Tyler Smith and Zach Martin are going to have that heck of a day, along with Cooper Beebe. Those guys are going to have to hold down the fort on the inside.
Can't get pushed backwards.
They cannot get pushed backwards because Dak's going to need the ability to sit back confidently and deliver the ball around that 12 to 15 yard mark behind those linebackers to find those gaps in their coverage. They're not going to play man to man against CD or B Cooks. They'll get torched. Jake Ferguson, if he's healthy, will have a day. So they're going to play these 2 high shells, and you're going to have to work your way down the field, and that's tough to do when you don't have a running game that's effective. If you don't get into good down and distance situations where you're now able to be, 3rd and 3, you know what I'm saying, or 2nd and 6, or some situations like that, then all of a sudden they're forcing you to pass, and now they can drop guys out. Now they have, 7, 8 defenders playing coverage, and you have to try to find a hole in a zone. They make it difficult on you in that regard. But I do think that Dallas, if they can find themselves just being patient and just working down the field, they'll be okay. But just know you're going to get hit in the mouth.
Absolutely, and you have to be a little careful too. Tyler Guyton needs to make a big step going into this. Going into this game, he leads the league in pressures right now, and you just have Odafe Owe on the other side. On the edge there, that might give him some issues. Graded as a 90 overall PFF.
But
Leads
like
them in
Isaiah-
sacks, by the way,
Isaiah
2.5
saying, though,
already.
Like Isaiah's saying though, they play brick wall up front. Right? They don't have who has not many has a Micah Parsons level kind of guy, but they don't have the quick twitch pass rushers coming off. So I mean, they're not getting back there with prime delivery.
It's physicality.
Right? They're sending it via
Snail
Pony
mail.
Express.
Yeah.
It's Pony Express. If you wait there long enough, it'll arrive.
This is a team that
but it ain't coming overnight.
Next to the 49ers,
same day.
Yeah,
this team
ain't
to
coming
me,
same day.
this team to me is the probably the only other team in the league that I would say is the team that says, guess what? Put you in the alley, head up, your guy versus my guy.
Who would the other team be? I want you to answer that question on the other side of the break. More on the Cowboys offense versus the Baltimore defense when we come back.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time. But what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Diving into the Cowboys offensive preview versus the opponent defensive preview, as we do every Thursday. We've got plenty of science, QB vision, Rodriguez zone. I don't even know. We got to find a name for your segment.
Rodriguez zone.
Rodriguez zone.
I don't know.
Too many.
Extra Z's.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Extra
Z's. He's trying to say
you're sleeping during my
He's
segment.
trying to say you put him to sleep.
I would love that.
It's
just going to be my segment. That's the extra Z's that I need. All right. Final thoughts on this matchup. You talked about a team that would want to go up in an alleyway and fight who wants to smoke against the rest of the league, the other 30 teams in the league.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, going back to the San Francisco 49ers that we faced in regular season and the playoffs, that physicality, that confidence that they have, again, when you have a team that's like, you know what? Yeah, we're running cover 2. Hey, we're running cover 2. We're running cover 2. Like, we don't care that you know. We don't care. You know why? Because we're more physical than you. That's their mentality. That's their attitude. That's their swagger that they come with. That's defensively. I know we're talking about defense, but you're going to see it on the offensive side of the ball too. They have a solid offensive line, and they are very confident in their ability to run the ball with speed or power with the combination that they have. So physicality is going to be the word of the day, and you're going to have to, I can't say it on air, but you're going to have to up against these guys. You know what I mean? Like being just real. Like you're going to have to buckle your chin strap and understand I need whatever.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. Yeah, buck up. Yeah. You're going to need
Kendrick said that in an interview.
That's not what Jordan said.
That's not what
Jordan said. Jordan said the other thing.
Yeah. So this is a game where, as we like to say, every male sitting out there, your manhood's going to be tested. Your manhood's going to be tested in this game because they are going to look you in your eyes and be like, "Bring it."
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how that confidence or how my confidence would waver in that element based off of that being the case. Because I agree with you. I think it will be a physical bout. But if that's the case, I don't know where my confidence lies in the Cowboys to get the job done. Because that hasn't been their game. When they've been successful, they've done it from a speed, a finesse, an execution, a tactical way. Whenever it comes to physicality, there's only a couple of games over the last couple of years that they have won because of physicality. I can point to some of the divisional games with Philly that they have won. They've lost some in the same bout. They've usually exchanged blows. I think the Detroit game last year was one where it was physical all the way through. I mean, you saw what happened in a physical game last week with New Orleans.
I think I'm going to differ from IRS, and even though I know there are three letters you don't mess with, the I, the R, and the S. I think this is a game where, number one, the Ravens are going to come with the big gloves, the 8-ounces, and they're going to try to knock the hell out of you. But you can beat this Ravens team with finesse. You can do it from the defensive side of the ball because really the only one outside of the offensive line, because you got to out-physical the offensive line. But Derrick Henry, That's where you got to bring the physicality, and you got to stop him in those A and Bs, kind of force him outside.
That's where I have a question.
I agree, but
get him before he gets to the line of scrimmage.
Exactly. I love Jordan Lewis called him the juggernaut because he said once he gets going, so you got to stop him from getting going, right? You got to stop him after his first 2 or 3 steps because after that it's like, oh man, you were just along for the ride at that point. But from an offensive side of the ball, Cowboys offense versus Ravens defense, they're going to be extremely physical in the front 7, but they allow so many passing yards and so much effectiveness from the passing game. There's your finesse. Like, okay, just concede that that's the brick wall. Don't run at it. Throw over it. because you can throw over it. So
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson coming back, that's going to be huge. Because one thing you want to do is you want to get Roquan out of the middle of the field. So force him to carry Jake.
Yeah.
Right? That takes away the middle. Now you have the quick ends, the slants, and things like that.
And they match a lot when it comes to cover 2. They play different variations of 2. It almost looks like a Tampa 2, but it's really, hey, two high safeties over the top. Our cornerbacks on the outside have the ability to drift outside of their zone, so it makes it look like a cover 4. And then their inside linebackers are going to match against your tight ends. Like, they literally play man. So if you have anything coming underneath them or behind them, there's huge holes in the middle of the field.
Dallas will take advantage.
So that's what I mean. You can beat that. You can beat that power with your finesse.
But you better convert when you get the ball.
There it is.
You better convert when you get the ball, because I'm not sure how many opportunities the offense is going to have.
There it is.
The offense might have 7 series,
but you're gonna want to win time of possession anyway. But it's like we were talking about earlier this week. Winning time of possession is one part of the battle, but the other part of it is how efficient and productive are you with your time of possession, because they own time of possession for the most part against the Saints, and you got dog walked.
Yep.
Okay. So, but you still need to focus on winning TOP against a guy like Lamar Jackson, because you need him on the sidelines as often as possible.
And you want to score early and often, because you don't want to give them the opportunity to run the ball. You want to make them pass.
And you want, and what that does is it creates this butterfly effect where later in the game, because these guys are powerful, they're physical, what that means, they wear down faster. Right? So like Isaiah said, with Mike Tyson, one of the keys to beating Mike Tyson was not to go toe-to-toe with him. You had to tire him. Mm-hmm. You had to take him to 10 rounds, 11 rounds, 12 rounds, and then the punches have less effectiveness. He's gassed. He's breathing hard. So that's how you have to treat the Ravens. You get up on them quick, and then you just start dancing around the ring.
Which is what we're great at.
Quick jab, quick punch, strike, and then like, oh, God, we're tired, and there you go.
Yeah, I know we got to get out of here. You made a statement about, I don't remember who you said, Jordan Lewis or something like that.
Jordan Lewis.
Yeah, Jordan Lewis.
Calling Derrick Henry the juggernaut.
And saying that you have to get him down before he gets going.
Before he gets going.
Understanding the physicality and the ineffectiveness of penetration with our defensive front to date, it leads me to believe that Mike Zimmer is now planning to do what? Bring pressure.
Yep.
And if you bring pressure, now my concern is leverage.
Because then Lamar goes at the end.
Unless
you see that.
We clean that up.
We're back to the spy games, baby.
Let's be honest.
I know that Lamar's speed is a different type of speed.
It's a different type of speed, but you're also facing a desperate team.
Offensive.
But the Ravens have never made the playoffs after starting 0-2.
You're facing a desperate team.
You know what I would rather though?
They just invested a ton of money at a position that really didn't even need to be addressed for them.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I would rather, if it came to this, and obviously, like we talked about, spy him with Michael or spy him with Overshown, the plan is there. You're going to lose some of those to Lamar Jackson, some of those runs, because his speed is just insane. It's Mike Vick level speed. But I would rather I would rather come back and look at this game in hindsight and say, Lamar Jackson ran for 150 yards and a rushing touchdown, and the Cowboys won by 17.
Win.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's you're more likely to win by Lamar Jackson having a good day on the ground and a bad day in the air than a good day in the air and a bad day on the ground.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting either way, and it'll be a tough matchup. Tomorrow, we've got some deep dive into what base packages and sub packages that Mike Zimmer is going to utilize to his advantage. We're going to give some examples along the way, something for you to use as kind of a cheat sheet going into the weekend of what to watch for whenever it comes to this Zimmer defense and some of the nuances that differ from Dan Quinn's days here with the Cowboys. So we'll talk about that tomorrow and how that could affect the Cowboys versus Ravens. Plus, we'll give our pick'ems, be a part of our fan pick'em segment, 888-855-2297 tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Time. For Chris Beam, Isaiah Stanback, Josh Rodriguez, Patrick No-C Walker, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!